Welcome back to the Work Truck Revival Project. In the last episode, you saw me tear out the seat and floor coverings and then inspect our rust damage, which I don't even know if you can really see it right here. It's pretty minimal. But yeah, today we're going to be cutting that out and seeing how far we can get. And if you want to learn how to fix your vehicle, do budget restorations, troubleshoot equipment, and all sorts of other types of garage-related stuff, be sure to subscribe to Midwest Garage so you don't miss anything. And here's an updated list for the cost of this project so far, including all the sheet metal shown in the last episode. So with everything kind of moved out of the way and cleaned up a little bit, you can see better how all the parts kind of go together. Obviously you have your rocker panel. And then you can see where our inner rocker panel is. And kind of how it ties into the rest of the bodywork. And now the next part is to find the most structural piece and make sure that while we're cutting, we don't cut anything underneath, as well as don't cut anything structural, and also look to make sure that it stays structural as we remove steel. After we get all that figured out, we'll start cutting. So our good solid metal starts around in this area, but I want to make sure I cut well past that to make sure I have really good solid metal to weld to. And they give you this whole rocker panel, but you definitely don't have to use the whole thing. So I at least want to use this much. So, seeing that our good metal starts around in this area, I'm probably going to cut back here and leave this. And then obviously we need to get all of the rocker out around the front side because this, and down here. So we'll cut here, and then we'll cut right along where the rocker is supposed to go. And a quick tip for you guys is to always just kind of have a shop vac standing by to clean up any messes and any rust falling down, because you're going to have a lot of rust and dirt falling out of this. And I just like to keep my workspace as clean as possible, because I don't know if it's a mental thing or what, but it just makes the job so much more enjoyable when there's not a bunch of dirt and rust and debris laying around as you're trying to work. Now the important thing while you're doing this is to just take your time. You don't want to cut too deep. You want to check your clearances, make sure you're not cutting in anything that you shouldn't be. And overall, just let the weight of the tool and the blade do the work. Don't force anything, because then you're going to have really inaccurate cuts. So yeah, take your time, do it one step at a time, and it'll go real smooth for you. After we get this rocker out of the way, I'll start inspecting the inner rocker panel, and then start cutting out a little bit of the floor so I can get a better look at all of that also. So as I was cutting my rocker panel out, you'll notice that I did my best to not cut the inner rocker. I nicked it a little bit there, but it's not a big deal because it does need replacing. but you want to be careful to make sure that you don't cut everything all at once, because you want to make sure you can get everything back to how it's supposed to go. So you'll see there's my inner rocker panel. This sits right along here. You'll also notice that even though all of this rocker needs to come out, I didn't cut it all at once. I want to take my time and cut it out in pieces, so that way I can make sure that I'm not cutting anything extra once again. But obviously this entire front piece of the rocker will be coming out, you know, all the way up through here. All of this needs to go. But we'll just take it in pieces, take our time. Now, the reason I'm taking my time with this is because even though all of this has to come out, you want to get a good understanding of how all of the pieces come together, because you don't want to come in here and cut everything out, throw your kick plate on the back, and then think that you're going to get your inner rocker panel on, because in reality, it goes inner rocker panel, then your kick plate, and then your outer rocker panel. So it looks really daunting, but if you take it one panel at a time, it's actually really simple. Okay, so we got a little bit more rust cut out. Still a long way to go, but I figured I'd show you a quick progress report. And you'll see there's our rocker, that came out in one piece. But for all of this, you'll see that I'm cutting off a whole bunch of small pieces at a time instead of just trying to take a massive chunk out of this, because I still want to make sure that we have enough solid metal for our rocker to weld into and everything else. If you take away too much, it's going to make it a lot harder to refit everything and make it look good. Also, keep in mind that while you're doing this, you might need to brace the cab depending on how bad your cab mounts and your floor are. I always had this little bit of a tilt to the cab, and I knew it was because of this, but if you'll see here, I can actually move this body line so that it almost matches up, and that shows that I'll probably have to brace this before I put my cab mount, my floor mount, and my floor in. Alright, so I've had my cab mount bolt soaking repeatedly for a few days now, hoping that this is going to break loose. Perfect. I was really hoping that's what was going to happen. Alright, so just like any 40-year-old project that you're going to run into, once you start finding rust, it is never going to stop. And this project's getting a little bit frustrating because as much as I keep saying that this is not going to be a frame-off restoration, the further I get into it, the more it's looking like it's going to have to be. To get these cab floor supports out, to get this brand new one in, you need to remove the driver's side gas tank. And since I'm going to be removing the gas tank, I might as well remove the bed also, because I need to remove the bed anyway, and it's just going to make getting that gas tank out of there that much easier. And now that I'm looking at it, this gas tank has a leak in it, which I'm sure it's rusted through just like everything else in this truck. So I'm starting to really see my budget for this truck start to climb. And it's a little bit frustrating, but I do want to fix it right. And as much as it sucks, you can't take shortcuts when it comes to this kind of stuff. So the budget's just going to have to take a hit. So I suppose so that we can get going on this, we might as well start removing that box so we can drop this tank and get everything fixed properly. Stay. So now I'm going to attempt to remove the 8 bed bolts. Most of them are really hard to reach. You'll see that most of them are rusted through and just spinning. So at this point, I think I'm just going to cut them all. And obviously, I don't want to be a safety nerd here, but make sure you're wearing glasses or goggles or something when you're underneath here doing this, because it really sucks getting dirt and rust in your eyes. And then it just makes the whole project take that much longer because you're constantly trying to clean off your face. All right, guys, well, we got the bed fully unbolted, if that's what you want to call it. So now I'm going to grab my cherry picker out of the corner of the shop and get that squared away. Now you may be asking, how am I going to pick up this big 8-foot box with this dinky little cherry picker? And that's a very good question, but I think I have an idea. Now, I'm pretty confident that I can lift half of this bed by myself, so as long as I have the cherry picker doing the other half of the work, I should be fine. Basically, I'm gonna X some straps across here so that I can lift up the back half of the bed, and then I'll pick up either side and kind of hold it there while I slowly inch the truck forward side by side. So really, I'm only picking up a quarter of the weight of the box at one time. So if I can keep doing this, plus I don't really care about the condition of the bed since it's completely shot. So if it gets bent or dinged up or anything like that, not a big deal. So I'll just keep working at this until it's far enough to where I can put it on jack stands and wheel the truck all the way out. Okay, I really like the irony in this. Some of the bed bolts are getting a little bit caught up. So I'm gonna use the Sawzall that I found in the cab of this thing to dismantle it. Now, if you guys have a better way of doing this, please let me know down in the comment box. Besides, of course, buying one of those bed lift things that you can get for a cherry picker, because those are really expensive. I thought about running 2x4s across. I thought about ratchet straps, all sorts of stuff. I thought about building a little rig on the outside of the box, but really this is the simplest and easiest thing that I could think of. So yeah, any better ideas, especially for helping me get the bed back on, because I might try to tackle that by myself, leave them down below, and yeah, that'd be greatly appreciated. Not pretty at all, but it's off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up a little bit, get the shop situated, get this where I want it, and you guys don't need to watch me do that, so I'll be right back after everything's in order. Well, that was a job and a half, and I apologize for not explaining it more as I went. It was just, once you get into it, you just kind of go. So with that being said, I'm gonna call this video quits. And what we're gonna be doing in the next episode is, I don't even know. You'll have to wait and see, because right now I don't even know. All I know is we have a lot to do. So stay tuned for the next episode of the Work Truck Revival Project. And be sure to check out some of these other videos that pop up around here, and subscribe to Midwest Garage if you haven't already, so you don't miss any part of this build or a lot of my how-to videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.